Rachel, I want to set the stage here for a little bit and talk for a second just on what I've been seeing as relates to marketing automation, and then get your thoughts on that. It feels to me like a lot of leaders in the staffing industry right now are seeing marketing automation as this, I don't want to say silver bullet solution, but maybe slot machine solution, where if I turn on marketing automation, if I start to do the email campaigns, if I start to do sort of the marketing automation sequences, whatever it might be, I can expect immediate ROI, that this is the slot machine solution that I've been looking for. And I've always come to understand marketing automation as this long game. It's relationship building, it's sales support, it's giving your team the touches that we know they need. We've said on this show it takes anywhere from 70 plus touches for someone to fundamentally know you exist. Marketing automation gives your team the tool to support their sales efforts. It's not necessarily the slot machine solution where you get immediate ROI. Are you seeing sort of the same thing, or am I off based in what I'm hearing on my conversations?
Yeah, I think a lot of staffing leaders right now are coming to marketing automation. And I don't know if this is like an antiquated view of email marketing or what, but they're coming to marketing automation and they're seeing it as almost a transactional piece of their marketing stack. I'm going to send email. I'm going to get response to email. I'm going to get job order. And anymore, the way people buy and the purpose of automation doesn't really fit in with that. It's not transactional. And as everyone knows, the industry is very relationship based. So the purpose of automation in the industry is to help build those relationships. And you're not going to do that through transactional email marketing. You're going to do that through getting the right message in front of the right person at the right time, giving them the content that they need, building trust, and all of those steps. I think it's, just the way that they're seeing it and the way that they're looking at, okay, one to one. I'm sending one email, I'm getting one response, I'm filling job order.
Do you think consumer goods is messing that up for us? And the thought I'm having is the staffing leader seeing the marketing automations that, Built Clothing, for example, is sending out, or any supplement product is sending out, or, Bird Dog, Lululemon, they're sending these marketing automations and are immediately getting purchases from them, right? Express, Under Armour, Nike, whatever it is, they send you automations, they send you email sequences, and then all of a sudden people are clicking buy, and that's it. It's sort of happening transactionally. Is that whole space sort of ruining the logic for the modern staffing owner?
I think so. I think it could be contributing to that. They're looking at their email inbox and they're seeing, well, I get all these emails. I bought this yesterday. I'm going to buy this tomorrow. I'm looking at this thing. It's like that B2C consumer mindset. It's like, I do marketing tactic, I get results. And really, when you think about it, B2C marketing and consumer marketing doesn't work like that either. They see something on social media. They read an article about best t-shirts for running. They do a ton of research beforehand, and then that email comes to them because it knows the research that they're doing. It gives them exactly what they need at the exact moment that they need it. And then that trust building kind of happens. That trust building has already happened,
Yeah.
and they're making that transaction. So automation works kind of the same for B2B. It's helping get all that information in front of the person at the right time. But it's like what happens after the conversion is not necessarily job order. It's start conversation. It's build relationship. So I think you're right on the consumer mindset is kind of hurting the way that people are seeing these things, but it also works very similar. It's just what happens next, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the optics are different than what's actually happening behind the scenes, right? Like
Yeah.
if Puma right now can send me marketing automations every day, I don't need another pair of shoes, running shoes, for 300 to 400 miles, somewhere in that sweet spot, right? And I track all of that so that I know when you should be throttling new shoes, right? Like I understand that. They're not waiting until 6 months from now or 3 months from now, whatever that time might be, to say, oh, shoot, Brad might need a new pair of shoes based on when he purchased last. Let's now send the ad. They're maintaining the relationship because they know that I, as a buyer, have hundreds of options that I could go with. I think we're exactly right. And I think on the staffing side of things, you don't know when your candidate is going to look for their next job. You don't know when somebody is potentially going to be hiring. So we're not sending the automations, and I hope I'm articulating that the right way, for when they need an order now or when they need a new job now. We're playing the long game through relationship building so that when they do have a need, they know who to call.
Yep. It's like thinking about the shoes. Maybe if you're
I forgot we
tracking,
can talk running now. We can use running
yeah,
analogies because you're
yeah,
training too. Right on. Okay,
yeah.
good.
I wear Brooks shoes, but Puma's fine too.
We don't shame here. We don't shame here.
Yeah. So you're like looking at the shoes. If say Brooks has access to my Strava and can see how many miles I've logged on my shoes, they're not going to wait until I'm at 500 miles to say time to buy new shoes. You're going to say, you know, are your shoes at 100 miles right now? Here's what to do to maintain them. Here's the best socks to wear when you're running in the summer. You know, here are things that help me along the path to buying new shoes. Throughout that whole time, I'm getting all that information from Brooks. And then when it comes time to buy new shoes, I'm like, well, yeah, no brainer. I'm going to go with Brooks because I have my socks because of them. I bought their shorts because they, told me about the best shorts to wear in the summer. Do you have issues with this? Brooks is helping me get gels. All of that trust building is helping me know when I have to make that decision who I'm going to go with. And it works the same for staffing too. It's like, okay, it's peak season. Peak season is in 6 months. Here are some resources you can use leading up to peak season to help when peak season comes so you're not as stressed or you're not as scrambling for talent or whatever that looks like. So if you provide that information along the path, that helps. It's not sales related. It's not, give me a job order now. It's here are resources that you can use for the problems that you're having. When it comes time, peak season happens, and you maybe do are short some team members. You're like, well, I got all these resources from this company. I'm going to call them up because I already trust them and I already know who they are. And that's not the response. It's not a direct response to the email. It's not, a one-to-one conversion. It's like you've built this trust using automation with them, knowing what you know about their company. And then when you're ready to buy, you know exactly who to go to.
I love that you switched that to staffing and recruiting. I was going to ask you to do that, right? I think the running analogy worked perfectly. I wanted you to spin that to, well, what does that mean for the staffing owner? The peak season mentality makes total sense, right? If I know that my peak season is October, it's the fall, because I sell winter jackets, or I'm going back to consumer goods, I'm sorry. But if I know peak season is the fall and I know that specifically, well, I need to make sure that I am sending these automations in late summer, early fall to get people ready, right? I think staffing firms were too reactive in the sense of, well, how do I get the order now instead of playing the long game with our database and thinking through strategically, how do we stay in front of these people so that when they do have a need, they know who to call?
Hmm. Yep. And the reality is not everyone's going to open every email. Not everyone is going to read through every piece of content, but it's making sure that the content that you're sharing with them is tied to the pain points that they're having so that I'm thinking about myself as a marketer. I'm thinking about email deliverability a lot. I maybe have a client that their deliverability tanked last week. Then I get an email in my inbox that says, is your deliverability tanking? Be like, yeah, it is. So that would be an email that I engage with. And it's like thinking about those pain points and getting those messages in their inbox in a consistent basis, understanding that they're not going to engage with everything that you send, but hitting them, it's the right message, the right person with the right message at the right time with that message that's going to resonate with them.
So, what should we expect in the early stages of a marketing automation campaign? If you and I can agree that it's relationship building, and I think even the listener, after sort of the back and forth that we had, can understand, okay, it's not necessarily about the order today or the application today based on whoever you're dripping these automations to. It's about the relationship building. Okay, great. I can buy into that. But still, if I go down this path of deploying marketing automations and the email sequences, what should I expect, month one, month two, or what should I be looking for?
At the beginning, I would say that the metrics that we measure are just engagement. Are people looking at the messages that you're sending? Are they clicking on the links? Are they going to your website? Are they opening the emails? Are you getting your name in front of your target audience enough to where they're going to recognize who you are? In the beginning, that's really all we're asking for. A website visit is great. A form fill is even better. But even just opening an email so they know Brad Bialy at Haley Marketing sends information about this is good in those first couple of months. And we hardly ever see responses. We don't see responses a ton because people just don't respond to email marketing anymore. But we don't see
Yeah.
people responding to the emails and saying, I have this need, especially not in the first couple of months, especially with a cold audience that might not even know who you are or what you do.
Yeah. I mean, we're programmed not to, right? Like the automations that Under Armour is sending, I'm not hitting reply and saying, "Hey, I really appreciate you sending this
Yep.
tip for me." I'm
Yep.
consuming it. I'm looking at it. They have all the back end data saying, "Okay, Brad looked at this article, did this, whatever." Okay, I get that. What then after month 1 or 2, right? People are clicking things, they're opening the email, maybe they're going to the website. In my brain, I'm thinking it shouldn't stop there though, right? If we're prospecting, if we're using marketing automation to get in front of potential buyers of our services, what should the sales team be doing with that information? Because it feels to me like most people are going to stop there and say, okay, well, we're doing the automations, we're sending it, they're opening the email, but they didn't call us. What should I, Brad Bialy, the sales rep, be doing in that situation?
Yeah, we track a lot of the engagements with a thing called lead score. A lot of marketing automation platforms use lead score, and lead score is a calculation of the level that someone is engaging. You assign points to the different activities that they're taking. Maybe an email open is 1 point. Clicking on a
Okay.
link is 2 points. Visiting the website is 5 points. And that kind of gauges what engagement, the buying power of the engagement that they're taking. Someone who opens an email is probably not thinking about buying, but someone that visits your website is probably a lot closer to the buying process. So we use those
Yeah,
points to
and even somebody that
assign.
makes it to a requested employee page or a
Yeah,
contact page, that's even a higher value.
yep, definitely.
Okay.
And we calculate those lead scores to give you like a hot leads list. So your hot leads list has 50 people with a lead score above 50. That's telling you that these people are engaging, either repeat engaging, opening and clicking on several emails, opening and clicking on emails several times, or opening and clicking on emails and visiting your website. So we like to give that to sales teams and saying, make this your call list, make this your drop off list, make this your in person visit list. Because these people already know who you are, they know what you do, they've consumed some of your content, so that initial relationship building touch point is not going to be completely cold.
In that regard, automation's not replacing sales, it's working alongside sales. It's giving them the it's giving them the market intelligence of saying, okay, we know you're going to cold call people this week anyways. These are the 50 people to cold call.
Yeah, this is
We
the
should
the most return from your cold calling investment is going to come from these people.
Yeah. And it's not saying, okay, well, you can offload the sales function by deploying marketing automation. It's actually quite the opposite. It's saying you can be more strategic with your sales function by using this information to call, drop by, maybe follow up via LinkedIn or other emails, in-mails, things like that, but continue the conversation, keep your foot on the gas. More importantly, maybe put your foot on the gas even harder with these 50 people because they're showing some sort of interest, they're showing intent.
Yeah, and it makes the sales team more productive too. If I was a salesperson and I had a list of 300 people that I had to call this week, and I'm like, well, I can't bank on any of these answering the phone or starting a conversation with me. Or if I was a salesperson, I got a list of 25 people and it was like, hey, these 25 people have engaged several times in the past couple of months. I would be more inclined and more productive with those calls than just taking
100%.
a cold list and calling that cold list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it now, right? I went to 2 conferences last week, met probably throughout the course of the conferences, let's say there were 300 to 400 people there, but I had really good conversations with probably 17 to 20, right? So it's saying, yes, don't ignore the other, 290 people by any means, but the 17 to 20 that we had really good, deep conversations with, that were at the booth, that were talking to me, that were talking about what I can do to help, what we can do to help, those people are at a different level than the rest of the list, right? And I think what we're getting wrong on the staffing sales side of things is we're seeing all of our leads and all of our prospects in the same bucket. We're not scoring them, we're not ranking them, we're not saying where are they in the buying decision process. We're not putting emphasis on some opposed to all. And this gives us the perfect market intelligence to say, yes, you still need to cold call, you still need to prospect. Your sales team isn't off the hook from all of their other sales responsibilities. But in conjunction with those responsibilities, these are your key targets that need to be touched repeatedly in different ways.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
And the great thing about automation is that you could then send specific messages to these people based on that criteria. And you can move people from message to message based on that criteria too. So if you have, say, the hot lead or the hot prospects, the warm prospects, the hot prospects, and the cold prospects. Say you have people who are engaged at different levels. You can take all of your hot prospects who have engagement score over 75 or whatever, send those straight to sales. Sales is managing those conversations. You don't need to automate anything. You have your warm prospects that have engaged somewhat, but are not quite at the level where you would consider them ready for sales. You can have a nurture series going to them that talks about specific things to get them to the next step in the sales process. And then you have your cold prospects who haven't engaged at all. You can create a very specific nurture series for them that maybe provides more educational resources than content. So the good thing about automation, and then maybe you have someone in the cold prospect bucket who starts to engage, who starts opening emails, who starts clicking on links. You can move them then to the warm prospect bucket
Yes.
based on their score, and then again to the hot prospect. So it's kind of looking at these different buckets and thinking about where are people right now and how can I get them to that point where they're going to have a conversation with our sales team using automation. Not automation is just my way to systematically, I think I said this on the last podcast, it's not a way to systematically send more emails. It's a way to really get smart about who you're sending emails to and what you're sending to them.
You did say it on the last show, and that's okay. I have found that repetition is the only way to get a point across, and the
Yeah.
more that you say it, the better. And
Yep.
I think it's also important to note that marketing automation isn't just sequential cadence. It's not just, okay, these are my prospects. I'm going to send these 12 emails, 1 to 12. It's doing what you're saying, and it's understanding where they're at in the decision making process as they're moving from different tier to tier, putting them into different automation sequences, looking at their behaviors, looking at what they're doing, and then sending the right follow-ups based on their activity or where they're at in
Yep.
the process.
Yep.
It's completely taking just, hey, let's send them one email every month. I have one client who only wants to send a quarterly newsletter. I mean, that's just not going to get it done anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not the right play. And we've had
Maybe
that
in 6 years
conversation.
I will, but
Yeah, maybe. It's thinking, okay, how are we systematically getting in front of the right people at the right time so that when they do have a need, they know who to call. And they're not always going to have that need, and they shouldn't always have that need,
yeah.
right? But when they do, they should know who to call.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this earlier. It's like the relationship versus transactional selling. Do you really want a transactional sale, someone who's going to give you one job order and then if that doesn't work out, never talk to you again? Or give you one job order, you fill that job order and then never want to have a existing really or a continuing relationship with you? You want these people who are going to give you repeat job orders, who are going to advocate for you, who are going to build relationships with you, and expecting transactional won't get you there. It won't get you to these long-standing relationships. It won't get you to these, you're filling 50 to 100 job orders for them a month. It's the transactional sales are going to be those, fill one thing for me, I forget about you, maybe I come back in 2 years.
I don't think anyone wants to be sold to in the transactional mindset at all. I
I
mean,
don't
whether
think
we're
so
selling
anymore.
staffing services or you're selling sweaters, you're selling candy, whatever. I don't we have blinders on to sales reps at this point, right?
Yeah.
I think we as consumers, we've just been sold to so much, or we've been tried to be sold to so much. That was articulated poorly, but we've been sold to so much that we have blinders on. And now it's this relationship driven. Okay, well, how can I form some sort of trust with a potential partner so that they can help me and my needs going forward?
Mhm. And even thinking about that from the B2C consumer standpoint, it's that way too. I'm not going to look at a billboard and see something on a billboard and be like, I need to buy that, unless it's like really good food or something. But anymore, like the things that I buy, it's the companies that I'm reading constant information about. I'm seeing them referred in other places. I'm seeing them constantly. They're sending me educational emails. So anymore, yeah, you're right. It's not the transactional selling doesn't work at all at any level anymore.
Yeah, and even the good food billboard, you're probably still going to look at reviews. You're probably still going to crowdsource and try to get somebody's feedback. Hey, has anybody been to that restaurant? Have you tried that meal before? Have you tried that plate before? Because at the end of the day, we can all go out to eat only so many times a month, and you don't want to waste it. You don't want to get that decision wrong, right? You want to factor in loss aversion. So you're crowdsourcing to make sure it's the right choice.
Yep. And even where the billboard's placed, it could be when I've been driving for a long time and I'm hungry.
Right.
It's like
right.
everything is like strategic and tactical with selling now. It's not just like blasting out something and hoping that someone buys it.
So let's stay on that wave, right? I'm driving down the thruway, and a mile and a half before an exit, I see a McDonald's billboard. I hate McDonald's. I don't preferably eat fast food, rarely ever. I just don't like it. My kids love chicken fries right now, though. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old who are going crazy for chicken fries. So, okay, maybe Burger King's a little bit in my life right now. That's a side note. That's a conversation for another day. But okay, let's talk about placement and the call to action, right? The ask. So McDonald's is in our world pretty much all day, right? Whether you're seeing them on TV, radio spots, billboards, you see the golden arches, their own logo is marketing, right? They purposely have their sign higher than anybody else's so you can see the golden arches from miles away. Okay, so I'm driving down the thruway. I don't typically eat fast food, but I've been driving for a couple hours. I see either the arches in the distance or I see the billboard, and now all of a sudden, okay, we got to pull off and get from a marketing automation standpoint, when should I be asking for the sale? When should I be asking to close? So if I'm dripping my potential prospects with all of these resources, give, right? I'm a big Gary Vee fan. It's all the jab, right hook, right? I'm going to jab more than I right hook somebody so that I can ultimately give more value than I'm asking of them. From the McDonald's analogy, though, if I am on the thruway, there has to be some sort of ask eventually where it's, hey, come get the Big Mac. Where do you see that falls in line with staffing firms? When do we finally ask for an order, ask for a conversation in the automation sequence?
Yeah, I would pay attention to buying signals. So there are a lot of tools that help you see buying signals now, but a buying signal would be someone on your contact us page, someone on your request an employee page, because they are at the point in the analogies that you're making with McDonald's, they're at the point where they've been driving so long, they're ready for lunch or they're ready for dinner. So paying attention to these things and saying, okay, I know maybe I saw on LinkedIn that someone is hiring for a job that I can fill. That's a buying signal. Maybe I see that they were on our request talent page, but they didn't fill out the form. That's a buying signal. Maybe I see that they just opened a new plant location in a city that I have an office location in. So it's when you have the ask, it's not just random, hey, I've sent you 15 emails. Are you ready to buy now? It's, I know that this is happening to you. I know that you've been driving. There hasn't been a place to eat for the past 25 miles.
Yeah.
Turn right now and go to McDonald's.
Right. You don't need any more Swedish fish.
Yeah. I know. It's like the rest stops. When you are driving and you see the rest stops, no rest stop for 65 miles, you're like, well, I guess I better go to the rest stop now.
Right.
So it's like paying attention to those things. I know that this person is going to need services either now or soon. That's when you make the ask. When you know that it makes the most sense for them to place a job order at this point.
I think the hardest part there for a lot of staffing leaders or sales leaders is, well, we need the order now. We need business today. I see it all the time on the social media side of things, right? I rarely post a link on social. I'm not driving any calls to action. I'm just providing value. The sole existence of my LinkedIn page and everything that I do on the show, content, whatever it is, value. So when people do have a question, they know who to come to. Most staffing leaders and most sales leaders are going to want to put some sort of call to action, I believe, Rachel, in that first email. Let's give value, but oh, by the way, if you need us, we're here. And I want you to just talk a little bit about why it's important to not fall into that trap and not fall into the me mentality when you're starting that relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's understanding buyer behavior. Like you said, we've been sold to or have been tried to be sold to.
Yeah.
Whatever the English is.
I messed it up too. We get what you're saying.
Yeah, you have been sold to for so long that when you're ready to buy something, you're going to make that decision to buy something. You don't need someone to tell you. You don't need someone to say, you're hungry, you need McDonald's. You know that you're hungry and you need McDonald's. So you're going to go to McDonald's because your kids are screaming at you in the back. And it goes the same way. It's like when you put that call to action that is, we can fill this position, call us today, it kind of almost discredits the education that you're sending, because it's you sending education for the sale, not you sending education because you want them to trust you. I think that buyers anymore, when they're going to buy something, they know who they're going to buy it from, and they know when they're going to buy it. So it's not like you sending me an email that has this educational resource and then says, oh, by the way, we could fill your professional job orders. Contact us today. I would say, oh, yeah, I need a professional job order filled, actually. I'm going to click on this. I don't think that's the way that people buy anymore. I think that that's something that maybe was the way that people bought in the past, especially post pandemic, but is not the way that people really interact anymore.
I think it's 96% of people are doing their own research before reaching out to a sales rep at this point, and 61% of people prefer a rep-free buying experience. And I think you're exactly right. We as buyers are doing our own research. We're doing our due diligence. The buyer is more educated and sophisticated than ever before. We have access to Google, YouTube, TikTok, LLMs. We have influencers that might be talking about products or services, whatever it might be. We are more educated and sophisticated than ever before. We know within some sort of degree of uncertainty, a small, minute degree of uncertainty, who we're going to buy from and who we're going to go with, all the way until we want the sales rep to reaffirm our beliefs, right? We want them to come in and basically reaffirm everything that we think we know is true. And I think you're spot on, and I hope the listeners really caught what you were saying, in the sense of when you go in for the ask too early, you're discrediting everything that you're working towards. And it's not like, you go on a first date, you're not going to ask somebody to marry you after that first drink. It's outrageous to think that, right? Like, we're working towards building a relationship here. I'm out of here. You're scaring me. I got to run for the hills.
Yeah.
But as sales reps, we know that we need the orders now, and we sort of forget everything that we know about human psychology, which is people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Buyers are doing their own research. They're doing their own due diligence. They're looking into everything that they can. And then they want to come here to reaffirm their beliefs. And I think you were spot on in saying, if you ask too early, you're discrediting everything that we're working towards. And I think staffing leaders need to hear that, rewind it, and hear it again, because we need to play the long game, especially when it comes to marketing automation, especially when it comes to this tactic that we're talking about.
It's hard. I know it's hard. It's hard to know that I need these sales right now. I need to fill, my pipeline right now. And it's hard to expect, this is going to take 6 to 12 months, maybe even longer, to build your
Sure.
pipeline. But once you do that, it's kind of like dating. You want to get married, you start dating someone. You're not going to get married to them after your third date. It's going
Right.
to take some time. It's going to take some, you're going to have to spend a lot of time with them. And it's kind of the same way. If you want to get married right now, if you want the sale right now, you're going to have to trust the process of building those touch points to get to that point where they're ready to buy. And then I think once you've built kind of that engine and that infrastructure, that you're constantly running this, you're running people through this, you're putting new leads into it, you'll find that, 2-3 years down the line, your pipeline's going to be full consistently.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a dry period, because you've built that trust for so long. Like, I guess taking it back to running, the running analogy.
Let's do it.
Started half marathon training, didn't realize that you have to run really slow at the beginning.
Ooh, the slow miles.
Yeah. So you have to start somewhere. You have to start slow. And I'm going out there and I want to run, an 8-minute mile. I want to run an 8-minute mile for 10 miles. And I know that in order to get to that point, I have to consistently run these slow miles. So it's like, you have to consistently trust the process. That's something that I have to tell myself consistently with running. I have to trust the process, because I know if I do, I'm going to get to the point where I am running those consistent 8-minute miles. And I'm going to look back and I'm going to be like, I'm so glad I did it this way. So glad I didn't burn myself out. I'm so glad that I didn't hurt myself, because I was trusting the process.
I could talk running all day, right? It's the slow miles that matter more in some ways than the fast miles. I mean, they all work together, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm also training. I have the full coming up here in a couple weeks as well, so I'm right in the heart of it right now myself. And A lot of what I say to clients and a lot of what I say to prospects is I don't want you to feel the way you feel now 6 to 12 months from now. We understand there's a pain. You're not getting the leads you want. You're not getting the orders you want. We can acknowledge that. We can acknowledge that you don't have the amount of money that you want in your bank account right now. We can acknowledge that you can't run an 8-minute mile for 13 miles right now. Let's just put that out there. Okay? There's a pain right now. I don't want you to feel that way in 12 months though. And if marketing automation can fuel your pipeline so that 12 months from now you don't feel this pain, why would you not agree to that? And then compound on itself so that 24 months from now you definitely don't feel this pain. That's the game I think that we need to get to. Right? It's yes, solving the problem that we have right now. Yes, with other ideas and other sales tactics, sales strategies, even marketing tactics and marketing strategies. But this specific component helps make sure that you won't feel the same way you feel now 6 to 12 months from now. And I think it's flipping that logic. And the running analogy is perfect too, right? I mean, I remember the first time that I went out. So the first marathon I did, the first time I put on my shoes, I ran out and I tried to do 2 miles. And I think I walked like 75% of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point where I'm really comfortable on my feet, but that's 2 years of work. Mm-hmm. And it's the slow miles that lead to where we're at today that hopefully give us a good shot on race day to show up and put up a respectable number that we're proud of. And, I think about the sales process where we're just trying to close day after day after day. And we're doing the same repeatable tactics and processes that haven't worked for months, hoping for different results. And it's just not going to work. Yeah. And maybe I'm getting a little long-winded because you got me on a running analogy here too. And I like that, but we need to play the long game. And I've said it on this show before. I've said it on stage before. If anything, I just don't want you to feel the way you feel today, 6 to 12 months from now. And we can change that. We can fix that.
Yep. And, transactional selling might help this week. It might help this month. But is transactional selling and expecting transactional selling going to help you in 12 months? Can you confidently say that hoping for a response to an email that I send is going to drive your pipeline in 12 months? Probably not. I don't think anyone can confidently say that because there are a lot of other factors at play. But if you're building trust, if you're building authority, if you're building a strong pipeline based on education and trust, the chances of you having success in 12 months, regardless of what happens in the market, is probably a lot greater.
Rachel, is there anything from the marketing automation lens that we didn't touch on that you hoped we talked about?
I don't think so. Another piece, I guess one piece that I didn't talk about in the kind of deciding where your prospects are going to go based on their activity is you can also look at the data that you have on your prospects to put them in different categories as well. So thinking about, your highest value prospects are probably people who have bought from you in the past, maybe candidates that you have placed in the past, or people that you have already had a conversation or relationship with. So if you can take those and move them out of your, instead of putting every single person in these are my prospects bucket and sending the same message to all of them, maybe pull out the people that you have some familiarity with, some sort of relationship with, put them in a different bucket and send them something different. Maybe what's new at our company. Maybe, more market intelligence because you already have a relationship. Maybe more success stories. So the conversation that you have with them can speak more to that, existing relationship than people who don't know who you are at all. So I think there's a piece in playing with the buckets in your cold prospects, the people who don't know who you are, but also pulling out your warm prospects and people who you have had existing relationships with, because the timeline to close on those people is probably a lot shorter than people who are cold. And I have a lot of clients that come in and are like, let's just put everyone in everyone's a prospect. And it's like, when you think about it, the way that you talk to someone that you have maybe placed someone at previously is very different than the way that you talk to someone that doesn't know who you are.
One of my favorite talks this year is No One Wants to Talk to You. It's a session that I've given probably a dozen times now. I'll be in Nashville in a couple of weeks giving it twice. It's all about in the sales process. No one wants to talk to you until they have a reason to. And one of my favorite slides there is exactly what you're alluding to is we need to segment our database and give everybody specific and deliberate messaging. Your former customers need different messaging than your current customers, need different messaging than even your formers who are sort of hot, not hot, cold, whatever it might be. That needs to be segmented. Your current customers need different messaging than your former customers. We cannot lump everybody into the same prospect database because everybody is at a different stage in the decision-making process, we need to have the courage to segment that out and be hyper specific with the messaging that we're sending to those people to push them further down the line, where then, Rachel, you said a couple minutes ago, well, probably 20 minutes ago at this point, to then move them to a different bucket, to then drip them with different automations, to then move them to a different bucket, to drip them with different automations. But we cannot just keep everybody in the same, oh, well, you're a prospect, so you get the who we are and what we do automation. Like it cannot be that way anymore. And I hope that there's a light that's turning on soon for the industry where people see that. Because I am banging that drum in every city this year. And I'm trying my best to scream that from the mountaintops.
Yep. And putting it back into the customer analogy, if you're thinking about consumer marketing, if I have been to a website and I put something in my cart, but I didn't buy it, I'm going to get a different email than maybe I just signed up for their email list. Or I purchased from them before. I'm going to get a different email than if I put something in the cart, never bought it, than if I signed up for their email list. So everyone's doing the segmenting and marketing automation. And it's really, really important to make sure that your message is resonating with the person that you're reaching out to.
Rachel, that was fun. I like talking marketing automation. I like thinking through how to use technology to our advantage. I like thinking through segmentation and really personalized automations, as I like to articulate it. So it was a good conversation for me. I think our listeners got a ton of information out of this one. If anybody has follow-up questions, anything you said over the last 40 minutes or so struck a listener in the right way, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way to get in contact with you for some follow-up information?
Yeah, you can send me an email. My email is rreed@haleymarketing.com. Just R and my last name. And then you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Rachel Danner Reed on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, comment on a post, send me an email, whatever. I can always talk marketing automation. This is my thing. Obviously, that's why I'm here.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing all your insights with us.
Thank you for having me.
Friends, that's our show. And thank you for listening to another episode of Insights. If you found this episode valuable, we'd love to know. You can message Brad or Rachel on LinkedIn and share your thoughts with us. If you have a question or if you need a hand with your marketing or recruitment marketing initiatives, we'd love to help. You can message info@haleymarketing.com and be sure you tell them that Insight sent you. For my guest this week, Rachel Reed, I'm Brad Bialy. We'll see you next time.